And hello, WPF. Welcome back to another PR video. And we're here for the speed division today. We're going to be looking at all of our coaches in the speed division, all of our 12 coaches, and we're going to be ranking their teams. As I said previously, our methodology for all these votes is all going to be in the PB video. If you haven't seen that one, just go check the Psycho Boost video, and we explain how the whole panel and the audience vote work and how we ended up coming to these final rankings here. And once again, I'm joined here by SamueltheStrong.
Hello, hello. Excited to get to it.
Who is also one of our speed coaches here. So he's going to be able to join me up here. And once again, unfortunately, Lantern couldn't make it for this recording, but we're gonna keep on going. And then tell you what we ended up deciding here. A quick reminder for anyone watching for the first time: power rankings are very opinion based. They're not necessarily ranked in any kind of objectivity, and they don't really have any bearing on what kind of result a specific player is going to get. We're mainly looking specifically at team building aspects, what a team is right, what a team might want to do better, and these specific pieces that basically how we would feel if we were gifted this team. And I think with that being said, we can hop right in with our number 12 here, which is going to be Ditto on the Swarm. And I'm not going to ask too many questions with what the team logo here is meant to be. I'm not quite sure. We're looking at a very...
Maybe if you know the fandom.
I don't. I'll be real. But we're looking at a very interesting team here. And it's going to be another one of those Necrozmodon teams. I believe this is the second Necrozmodon team to be ranked last, unfortunately, which might be showing some kind of anti-Necrozma bias. But well, we see it's paired here with like a Ting Lu, which is obviously very nice for your hazards here. Me personally, I'm a little bit skeptical of the Terra Como here. I'm unsure with how it specifically will be able to perform. I think it is somewhat one-dimensional in the kinds of roles it wants to play, which is usually going to be like some kind of setup role.
Yeah, it can definitely. I mean, obviously there's the Taste the Rainbow. I can't even think of the name of the move. All I can see is that rainbow animation on Showdown.
Clangorous Soul here.
Yeah, Clangorous Soul. There's that set. There's the Body Press Iron Defense set.
There's substitute like Belly Drum, like Salak Berry. You definitely have a lot of options. I think the counterplay, I think it's very like susceptible to like phasing. Which is nice that they have the Ting Lu here.
100%.
But yeah, I will say I do think this team lacks immediate offense other than Necrozma. We're mainly going to be looking at Ogre Pawn and then like somewhat Scissor to complement that. And I will say I'm not the biggest fan of being stuck with Serena as our only real removal.
Yeah, I think for me, I actually had this team ranked significantly higher than this. I don't think I had it in like the top 5, but I will say I do think it has its threatening potential. Hazards and Ting Lu are always going to be great. Rotom Wash, Pheasantipity can be tough to break. Scizor does also have Defog for removal.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I think it's the Terra Captains. I think it's the immediate power level. I just think this team is going to struggle to break and is going to have to rely on, just really, really great prep. Now, that being said, this team did kick my butt. But still, I think it's going to come down to Ditto as a player, who is a very good player. And I think the team is fine. It's nothing that catches my eye, really. It has the things to check off the list, but as you said, immediate power is definitely lacking.
Yeah, I'm quite interested to see how they pull off that combo. Let's move over to our number 11 here, which is going to be Ace Harm on the Melbourne Magnazones. And I think this is an interesting team because we're looking at another Dialga Origin team. It's paired very nicely with Palafin, Iron Boulder, Raikou. I think this is another one of those instances where you'll see a very strong primary Terramon supported by a fairly decent secondary one. I think Raikou definitely fits the bill with very fast offensive stats, and you're able to get Volt Switch and then Terra Blast coverage for you could run Volt Beam, you could run Grass coverage, you could run a lot of options with it, and Raikou definitely fits the bill there.
Yeah, I think one thing that this team could run into with Palafin or Boulder Terra as its main kind of breaking core, you could call it. I mean, you do have Ursaluna Blood Moon down there as well. Definitely don't discount it. But if you have a strong physical wall, which definitely exists in this generation, that can take on either one of these two moons, phase them out, chip them down, burn them, whatever it may be, take advantage of Palafin's one turn it needs to be on the field before it's threatening. You could see this team struggling to get through others with just Dialga Origin, Raikou Terra. Ursaluna Blood Moon often does go 1-for-1, but it is quite slow.
One critique I had here is that this team's only real hazards are with Stealth Rock from Dialga, and then the Toxic Spikes from the Weezing. You're not really going to have that much flexibility when it comes to setting hazards, because when you have your Dialga Origin, I feel like you're usually not going to be wanting to waste a turn in on getting those rocks up when you have that much special offense and probably going to be wanting to dish damage.
Yeah, don't want your big hitter Dialga Origin to be a rock spot. I could definitely see that as well. Also, a bit of a lack of pivoting overall here. I mean, no, maybe I kind of take that back. I forget Arcanine has teleport. Raikou can Volt Switch. Palafin can flip turn.
I don't know if it still has teleport, actually.
Oh, really? I take that back.
I might be wrong. Hold on.
Oh, yeah, regardless, yeah, Palafin, Raikou kind of carrying the pivoting with this team in general. I don't remember if Jugulis can pivot. It might be able to, but Passimian with U-turn.
I think Jugulis does get U-turn. I can confirm Arcanine doesn't get teleport anymore. The team might have a little bit of issues. I do think you've got the pivoting with Full Switch Raikou. You've got a bunch of fast pivoting options. I think it would appreciate a little bit more of a bulkier pivot. Technically run Decidueye, but yeah, I think going a little bit off more on that, I think the team lacks a little bit on defense. I think you're going to be very dependent on Galarian Weezing, and then on somewhat on Dialga, just by bearing of its defensive type.
Definitely. All right, I think we should move forward.
Yeah, let's scoot on over to our number 10 here, which is going to be Pokefan on the Detroit Oblivion Wings. And I think this is a fairly interesting team. You've got Tornti, Garchomp, Prim. I think those are going to be your main offensive pieces. And the team, I think the team is very packed with removal, with Defog, Core Change, and then Rapid Spin Colossal.
Yeah, it's got options for sure. And I do like Iron Hands in that 7th slot. It's a nice pickup there.
I will say, even if it's kind of a meme, I'm a very big fan of Terra Colossal. I think there's a lot of funny things that can happen if you can bait in a fire move. And me personally, I've won with full Iron Defense sweeper set once you get that +6.
Oh yeah, Steam Engine, let's go. But overall, I think this team is going to be somewhat tough to break. Marina just can check a lot of things. You got Corv and then Regenerator on Torn, Wish Support on Umbreon. Iron Hands is just bulky as hell.
Absolutely.
Drain Punch can give it it's not really reliable recovery, but recovery.
Yeah, I think the team is gonna like struggle somewhat when it comes to like immediate breaking power. I think
Yeah,
you're gonna be seeing like Torn maybe wants to get like a nasty plot off. You're gonna see Garchomp maybe wanting to get a little bit more power in before it can start breaking. And you're mainly going to be looking at your Primarina, maybe your Iron Hands, but even then, I feel like that mom might want to get a little bit more time to get set up. And you're looking at very like slow breakers here.
definitely. But then on the same coin, some of those slow breakers, actually, I think all of them that you mentioned are great at pivoting as well, with flip turn on Prim and Volt Switch on Iron Hands, Corviknight
Very
U-turn.
true.
Yeah,
Hmm.
this could be a chip 'em down type of team. This could definitely be
Yeah.
a chip 'em down.
And yeah, I think this is another team where we're going to be seeing Garchomp being very dependent on Garchomp for hazards. I think
Yeah,
like Colossal could run your hazards here, but I don't think it'll be coming that often. So, and then
yeah, and
Garchomp
that
is going
kind
to
of
be your only
contributes to what we were
other
talking about.
option. Mhm.
Yeah, with that, you were talking about Garchomp wanting to break, but sometimes it's just going to have to be the bulky rock setter. Like that's just what it's going to have to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's
Cool.
move on to our number 9 here, which is going to be Sturgeonator on the Modest Pelipper's. And this is an interesting one to me. I'm a big fan of the Ninetales paired with the Terapagos here. I think there's absolutely big opportunities for a full-on sweep there. I can
Oh
personally
yeah.
attest to Terapagos's sweeping capabilities, and simply paired with Veil just makes it that much more annoying.
Most definitely. That free turn, to set up your calm minds, your rapid spins. I mean, there's a very real possibility that this thing could be double dancing quite often.
Absolutely. And on that same coin, you've got that strong special setup sweeper. You could pair it as well with that Annihilate right there at the bottom. That
Yep.
has very strong setup opportunities, even if paired with Sticky Webs here, Mikavolts.
Yeah,
I
the
think this team
hazards
is.
on this team, not to mention, and
Mhm,
Annihilate being a great sorry, spin blocker as well that can
very well
punish
supported.
spinners.
Yeah, we talked about how good Annihilate is at either keeping those hazards on the field or punishing that defog. And I think the team has a ton of hazards to force players to look in those 50-50s against that Annihilate. And yeah, no, I'd say I'm fairly a fan of the Summon Sky as well. You do have that faster cleaner that the rest of the team enjoys having. But I feel like
That'll be interesting.
mhm. I can see it not even really being needed a lot of weeks because you're probably going to be looking at a somewhat straightforward get one of those two set up for a sweep game plans.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, Shaman Sky's speed tier kind of nicely rounding out the tippy top of this team. Although, if you kind of look below the Shaman Sky speed tier, I think
That's
one reason
very
people might
true.
have voted this team so low is just that huge gap.
You're looking at Alolan Ninetales as that only real gap between Landorus T and or actually I guess Annihilate and Shaman Sky, but a lot of the time Ninetales isn't really going to be an offensive piece here. It's going to be here to like some Veil, maybe Encore, but
Yeah,
that
same
might
with
not really be
Tank at
enough.
that 94. Tank
Hmm.
at that 94, but doesn't really want to be running. It's not really here to run speed most
Yeah.
games.
Yeah, I guess you do also really have that big lump of speed tiers between Terapagos and Annihilate, where you've got a lot of mons fairly close together in speed tiers. I believe Hisuian
Yeah,
Samurott is at 84 speed,
I think it's
and
85, and I want to say Terapagos is 85 as well. I think you have 85
ye-
for Terapagos and Annihilate. You
yeah,
have
I think those are all
two
mons
90s.
between. I think you're looking at either 85 or 84 as your lowest speed between all of those top 8 Mons, and then that jumps from 85 down to like the 40s or whatever for Vikavolt. And I do think that might be
Yeah.
part of the reason this team might have gotten as low as it did, because you're looking at a lot of slower Pokemon not needing speed at all because they probably wouldn't be able to outspeed that Hisuian Samurott anyway.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. You want to move on?
Yeah, let's move on over to our number 8 here, which is going to be Tark on the Big City Boys. It's going to be another player to get their mascot on the team.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a
Blastoise
Terra
is my boy,
Regieleki
too.
team. I think a lot of us might have a little bit of reservations to how strong Terra Regieleki can be, but I think Tark very well found a strong way to put it on here, paired with Meowscarada, which is
Yeah,
very
we saw that
strong
with
at pushing
Lucas's
those
team in
grounds.
PB.
Absolutely. And no, it definitely has very strong methods of supporting that Regieleki, both with
And then,
hazards from Skarmory
uh,
and Mew.
yeah, and then way down at the bottom is quite a fraud down there. Gouging Fire, last pick. That's just a great pickup, and I think it really complements the Meowscarada, Blastoise, and Regieleki well.
Oh, totally. I think some people might even be like a little bit wary of doubling up on the fire types here, but I think Skarmory and Blastoise are both very good at dealing with those ground and rock types that might threaten both.
Mm-hmm. Not to mention removing the rocks that threaten the Moth and Gouging as well.
Absolutely. And no, I think it's definitely very strong here. I think the Terra Blastoise is also a very interesting choice as well, because if you're looking at weeks where tearing Regieleki might not do that much for you, I think a Terra Blastoise Shell Smash Sweeper can be very effective.
Yep, or a really strong defensive piece, depending on what you need.
Yeah, that as well. Um,
One thing that I noticed with this team is just, Skarm does have Roost. Mew has access to recovery as well,
does
but
it
kind
have
of
recovery?
longevity and does it anymore? I don't
I
know.
don't
They
think I
soft
don't.
boiled still its
Yeah,
team. I might be
I
wrong.
do think it has lost recovery in Gen 9.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I have not drafted Mew this gen, so yeah, it's just like reliable recovery on these Pokemon. You have these defensive pieces like Blastoise, like Goodra, like
Mm,
Mew, potentially. Mamoswine really wants to be more offensive, but reliable
yeah.
recovery outside of Skarm and Gouging Fire is not really there.
Hmm.
Um,
I'd say yeah.
yeah,
A
but it
strong
does have good
offensive
hazard
pieces.
options.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Good hazard options, good offense. He definitely has Pokemon that can take a hit for sure and dish them out. It's a
Absolutely.
strong team. It'll
Yeah,
be interesting to see how Terra Regieleki does with this support.
I quite agree. Let's move on to our number 7 here, which is going to be Fernanch? I'm not quite sure. But with the Mian Flus. Very funny PFP there. And we're going to see an offensive core that I'm a big fan of Iron Valiant and Ogerpon W Terra.
Mm-hmm.
And those are very strong offensive Pokemon that work very well together, in my opinion. And I think it's supported quite beautifully with a bulky Petrarunt and an offensive Kyurem. And you even see the option of running a little bit of a sand mode here with Excadrill and Tyranitar.
Yeah, it's very threatening. Kyurem as well down there at the bottom can break teams up really nicely.
Hmm. I think the secondary Terra captain choice here is very interesting with Espathra. I think we don't often see it come into play that often. I think Espathra is fairly forgotten because I don't think it's that strong without Terra, and I don't think many people invest into it because of that. But I do think it can absolutely be very threatening if you get rid of any annoying phasers. And even then, like
Yeah.
Espathra with like Lumina Crash is a crazy move.
Oh, definitely. It's definitely up there.
Hmm.
The drops that it provides, similar to what we talked about with Seed Flare.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
but yeah, that's the one thing though is Ogerpon Wellspring Terra is fantastic. It doesn't need to Terra to do what it needs to do, and then in
definitely
those
not.
games where a Smother's coming, whether telegraphed or not, that it's most likely going to be the Pokemon to Terra, it can definitely take advantage of this situation and provide great support for Ogerpon Wellspring as a secondary Terra Cap.
Hmm. I think you're also I think this team isn't going to be having that much fully defensive Pokemons, and I think that's perfectly fine because you're going to be looking at Petrant as like one of the probably the primary defensive mon here, but that's going to be able to pivot into all of your very neat offensive mons, and the same can be said for
Yeah,
Rodent P
definitely.
here. I think Vaporeon is a nice pick at the bottom here. You're gonna be able to wish support for all of your top guys, and I don't
Yeah.
know. I quite like Tyranitar here. I think it fits well defensively with the rest of the team, and then obviously you're able to support that extra drill offensively.
Yeah, it's really nice. T-Tar, Pecharon, Excadrill. I mean, kind of ground weak, as a defensive spin utility little
Hmm.
unit there. But then you have Rotom Heat who can really pick up the slack there. I do
True.
think overall that this team could struggle a little bit with ground types, but on the other side of the
Hmm.
coin, Kyurem just makes them not exist. Ogerpon Wellspring makes them not exist.
Very
It's just
true.
I think that this team has the offense to complement the defense. It's very well crafted.
Absolutely agree with that. Let's move on over to our number 6 here, which is going to be Gradual with the Sunset Soul Rocks. And no, I think this team is very well crafted between the Terra Iron Bundle and the Urshifu single, which are going to be your primary bringers here.
Oh yeah, those two Pokemon can break apart and clean up teams. They complement each other really, really nicely offensively.
Absolutely. Both being very strong offensive Pokemon, with Bundle being probably relegated more to a cleaner, and then Urshifu being your primary breaker here. And both of them have access to pivoting. So you're going to be able to get a ton of pivoting done because not only those two, but you've got a Zapdos, you've got an Iron Shreds that can potentially Volt Switch, you've got a Uxie with U-Turn. You have a ton of options to
Bullfish,
support those two
Ogerpon
big.
Cornerstone.
Totally.
Yeah,
No, you have a
everything
bunch of
pivots
great
here.
options here.
Yeah,
Hmm.
everything stands bottom too. But like, and then the Sylveon with the baton pass wish can
That's
also
true as
really
well.
keep Moons healthy. Could be
Absolutely.
really annoying.
No, yeah, I think like even just like those two big offensive threats, but then they're supported by Zapdos, they're supported by Ogremon Cornerstone. I think Gradual was really able to pick up on some very good support options for those top two offensive threats, and I think they really built the team beautifully around that.
Definitely. I have almost nothing negative to say about this team at all. I do really
Yeah, me
think it
neither.
it even has a really, really nice defensive backbone. And like if you want to bring any one of those, not quite bottom four, minus Hisuian Typhlosion, but those second to bottom four, Quillfish, Sylveon, Uxie, Snorlax, with the wish support. I know that those Pokemon don't have any form of reliable recovery. But you throw
Hmm.
Zapdos into the mix there, and all those things can really get a lot done, and you can wish them all back up, and then they can just do it again. Those are also really, really nice here.
Absolutely. No, yeah. Overall, I would say yeah, great job on Gradual for building this up. Let's move on to our number 5 here, which is going to be Eggsmint with the Chicago Cinderace. And this is going to be a very strong team with your.
Hmm.
I think very interestingly here is that we're going to be looking at a somewhat lower echelon of Terra Captains here between Thundy T, Volcanion, and then like I believe it probably isn't coming. But those are supported by some very strong higher tier Pokemon with Great Tusk, Deoxys, Roaring Moon, and those all are very strong offensive Pokemon at the top there.
Yeah. I love the support of Jirachi here too. I love that Rocks Wish, Healing
Hmm.
Wish, Screens, Encore. I think it's just going to help these enable these Pokemon even more. I love the idea of Thunderous T-Terra here. I think it's awesome because it's such a huge threat with that Spatak stat, but at the
Hmm.
same time can pivot very easily, and you can run U-turn on those weeks where they're going to be switching in the ground type,
Yeah.
or Terra into a type that really threatens that ground type.
I think, interestingly enough, the fact that Jirachi and Clefable have fairly similar roles a lot of the time between being Pokemon with access like Rocks, Thunder Wave, they can run bulkier, they can run both run Wish. I think the fact that they have a lot of overlap there means you're going to be able to like surprise your opponent a lot and then run very customizable sets on the two, and that's going to be able to support the rest of the Pokemon a lot more.
Yeah, definitely. You could be seeing a Calm Mind Clef with that Life
Absolutely.
Orb, the classic.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, you've got great hazards here between Rocks, Jirachi, Rocks Playable, both hazards on the Deoxys Speed. No, you've got
Yeah,
terrific
us can get him
options.
up.
And then like Terra Volcanion is gonna hit very hard, and Terra Thundi as well.
Yeah, and I love the Terramon with Water Absorb, but I especially love
Hmm.
Terraform Canyon with water. And the fact it has Water Absorb, just because it's not just tearing into a type and being very defensive with that Water Absorb like you see many of them doing, but it's actually hitting back. It's getting that health back and it's smacking whatever's in front of it. Fire Water
Definitely.
is great coverage.
Hmm. Yeah, no, great job to Edgemint. Let's
Cool.
move over to our number 4 here, which is going to end up being Neji Boston on the Driftveil Darkrise.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, strong team.
and we're going to see very similar. We're going to see that big Rillaboom support with. We've seen very often that Raging Bull, that Goldango. We're going to see Comfey paired with it quite a lot. And I think it's somewhat simple to understand the reason why. You've got Grassy Seed, Calm Mind, setup sweepers that have become a lot more popular. And the fact that they're able to combine that Terra Raging Bull and that Terra Comfey together is very threatening.
Oh yeah, yeah. I love Terra Comfey with Rillaboom. It's a tried and true combination. Not to mention the support it provides for Goldango and just the healing support for something like a Tentacruel that likes to come in frequently, try to spin away the hazards. Which speaking of, that is one thing about this team is hazards coming off of Crocodile, Bronzong. I believe has hazards as well. I don't use Bronzong
Hmm.
very frequently, but
Yeah,
the hazards are kind of deeper in the roster, which isn't a bad
yeah,
thing per se.
yeah. You could
Especially because you have a
technically,
lot of those
yeah,
mid-range picks anyway.
yeah, absolutely. You do technically have access to Greninja here. I think it's mostly going to be relegated to more, especially offensive sets. Yeah, I
Hmm.
mean, you are probably no. I mean, even then, I think your offense is looking very strong between Bull, Greninja, Goldango as your special breakers, Rillaboom, Zapdos as your more offensive mons, and then I think I think every mon on this team can very realistically come, and I think they're all very well
Oh yeah,
equipped.
definitely. I think you're going to see a lot of games where Crocodile comes with Stealth Rock. But on the other side of the coin, like we were just talking about, just with the sheer power coming out of this team, including that Galarian Zapdos, which we haven't mentioned yet, but just with the sheer power coming out of this team, you may not need hazards all that often to get through. I mean, you may just be able to get through on breaking power alone here.
Absolutely. No, and yeah, great job to Neji for this very interesting, strong team here.
Well supported for sure.
All right, let's head over to our number 3 here, which is going to be Paraik with the oldest dream. And
Yep.
this team is
I'm a big
incredible to
fan.
me. I'm a huge
Big
fan.
fan of this team. Oh my gosh. I love this Zama, Glowking, Gliscor, Aloe, these first four together synergistically. It's just a
Incredible.
beautiful thing. Oh my
Oh
goodness.
my,
The
oh,
Wish, Toxic Heal, Regenerator Core. Cyclizar's down there too, by the way.
yeah, not to
Triple
mention a
Regenerator
triple
Core.
Raging Core. That's going to be extremely fun to deal with, paired with a Gliscor and a Zamazenta.
And just when
Um,
you think you're done, the Ogerpon gets a free speed boost and starts
exactly.
shimmick stuff. Like
No,
it's just really nice.
I think, yeah, you're really looking at insane defensive options here. And well, I mean, you might think that a team that invests this much into defense might struggle offensively, But I mean, you've got a Zamazenta, you've got a Chi Yu, you've got Ogerpon on his own is very strong as well, and they're all supported with future sight from Galarian Slowking. So like
Yeah,
none of them
yeah.
are gonna have that much of an issue breaking.
No, and I think that the defensive nature of this team kind of frees up Gliscor to run things like an SD set. It doesn't have to
Totally.
be a defense spot here.
Absolutely agree. But yeah, no, I
I just,
think this was absolutely one of my favorite teams when I was looking at everything.
yeah, and I didn't even think about this, but speaking of Gliscor running SD, Klefki's right there to set up the spikes. I mean,
Totally.
it's just really, really nice.
hmm
I
We I remember going over this team. We had to reconvene all together because the top second, third, and fourth team were so close together in score. We had to manually tiebreak them, and I think this team being third is just a testament to like how strong all the other teams are.
Oh yeah, it's crazy.
That being said, let's move over to our number two, which is going to be Sir Kill on the Dubai Darm Riders. And this
Yes,
is
and how those top
I
three, man. Oh my
yeah, I
goodness.
don't quite know how they were allowed to have that happen. Um, Dragapult, Enamorus, Darkrai, all incredible Pokemon. You'll see that this is the team that got the audience first, and it's not too hard to see why. Uh, because those three super strong offensive threats, paired with Quaquaval, paired with Metagross, and then you have your pick of the rest of those mons there. You might not see those bottom three coming as often,
Mhm.
which is probably fine. I don't think it's that much. But yeah, we're going to be seeing a lot of very strong top three paired with Qual, paired with Metagross, and even like Moltres here. They're all going to be working very well together to support those very fast, offensive, strong mons.
Yeah. I think the one criticism I had of this team was just Gligar is the ground type, but I don't even know how much this team's going to struggle with that. I mean, Gligar can definitely take a hit with Eviolite.
That's true.
Does kind of suck that it lost Roost, but
Yeah, unfortunately.
it'll try its best to be the ground type for sure.
Yeah, it being
Uh,
stuck there is a little bit tough, but I think Circle definitely have ways to circumvent that weakness.
oh yeah, 100%. I think it's just so strongly constructed at the top, and the bulk is nice, and not to mention the bulk is threatening.
Totally.
Metagross and Moltres can definitely deal some damage out. And I think that this team has the potential to do a lot just with its momentum and offensive pressure alone. And it's going to be a tough matchup for everybody.
hmm And that being said, I think we're good to move on to our final Pokemon here. And we are going to have our final team here, which is going to be Samuel the Strong with Denver Diglett. Very much,
I'm just gonna
very rigged here, very rigged.
I'm gonna be a
He's
little quiet and also say I put myself at number 5 because I didn't think it was really this good. I'm just gonna let you talk.
yeah, no, I'll definitely talk about it. I think this is a very strong Zaru team. I think we've been talking so much a lot about how Zaru teams are often going to be constructed around supporting it and getting it set up for the victory. And I think this team, while you'll usually see teams a little bit more invest into supporting it, either with like utility or with like wish support or those kinds of options. I think Samuel does it very well here with offensive threats, particularly Spectrier here, Urshifu. You've got even like a Landorus here. Not even that, but it's like supported by Glamora. Even like Healing Wish Latios. I think Zarude has a ton of help here from a ton of very strong, not only offensive threats, but support options. I think Zarude is going to find himself running away with a game with how well you were able to give it help here.
I just got to win a game.
But yeah, no, I think a lot of people were in consensus with this between both the panel and the audience vote. Um, I think you're looking at a great amount of support options. I think you could argue maybe the removal is a little bit tough. You're looking at Gamora as your main remover combined with Kamala, but I think a
Kamala, who's been
lot of
traded.
oh, that's true. We are looking at teams pre-trades, and but I do think even that, not considering that, I think Samuel just drafted an incredible combination of Pokemon here.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, no, totally. I think you definitely deserve this top spot here. Um, if you do not have anything to add here, I think that concludes our Speed Division PRs. Thank you everyone for watching. We did notice that this and the attack PR is going to be a lot shorter than our PB videos, and that's because we did not time ourselves at all, and we ended up recording for an hour 15, and we kind of didn't want to repeat that. It is absolutely not a measure of us wanting to limit these divisions at all, and we just did not want to record for that long again. But yeah, no,
Indeed.
thanks a lot, Samuel, for being here again, and good luck to all our Speed Division coaches for this WPF season. Thanks a lot for watching.
Peace.